Get that close. Let me hit that go live button. Right, it tells me that we're live, so now it's time for me to say the immortal words. You are listening to Let's Go, the weekly anime podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello.
There's no Niall.
Oh,
But there is me, Brian, and on this episode we are covering anime that aired the week of the 2nd of May 2021 to the 8th of May 2021.
hmm.
And for some reason I've got so much saliva in my mouth, I've just been anticipation of talking about Zenkaiger, Episode 9, Number 9 Kai, World Pirates, Pleasant Twokai. Oh, something is up
Straight
with
away.
my headset. No, I think it's just the sound of the new microphone is flowing me off, plus the sound of the new headset that I
Yeah,
had to put in because mine broke moments before we started the podcast. After saying to my mother earlier today, well, I've not had to use that new headset I bought because it seems like the super glue job I did on the old headset is holding up. Famous last words. Anyway, so we've now got 2 pirates. No, we've got 4. We've got God, what's her name now? She's got a proper piratey name. Zox Goldweaker is the older brother. Then there is the younger sister, and her name is Flint Goldtweaker.
okay.
And then they've got with them 2 little super deformed robots, Ricky and Katana. Not Katana, Katana.
It's the pun, I'm guessing. Yeah.
It is the pun, yes, because he lets him turn into one of the samurai Sentai. These are their assist robots, and they're all hanging out at the sweet shop. And apparently, the 2 little robots are very excited that this planet they have these things called snacks, and they've just got like crisps and chocolates smeared all over their robot faces.
Oh dear.
uh, and then they turn their backs for a moment, and the pirates are gone, and so has all the stock from the sweet shop because they're pirates. They've nicked it.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got the big part of the episode is they Zenkaiser and Twokaiser have a bet on who could beat the world of the planet, which is the Mochi world. In this episode, oh sorry, specifically the Kashiwa Mochi world, who can beat them? And at the end, it is if Zenkaiser wins, then they've got to pay back what they took from the sweet shop, and they do this on a technicality because he knocks the leaf off of Kashiwa Mochi world,
Mm.
which then means that Kashiwa Mochi world is no longer Kashiwa Mochi world. He's just Mochi world. And so in doing that, he had been defeated, and they pay for it, but it's in funds that are not legal tender on this planet or perhaps this universe.
Hmm.
And that's where we are. Next week we'll learn more about the robots and why they go around calling Goldtweaker Big Brother quite so much. But that's for next week.
Mm.
And unfortunately, because of this is the one thing I watch straight away, and so I have to put out the thoughts of episode 10, which I've watched most recently, in order to think back to episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Moriarty the Patriot, episode 16, The Phantom of Whitechapel, Act 2. Dwayne, what happens in this?
Having trouble remembering. Or have you watched next week's one already?
I have not, no.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm trying to remember exactly how we start with them foiling deciding how to foil it. It's like clearly these guys are doing it for political motivations because they're trying to get the locals of Whitechapel to riot against the cops, basically.
Yes.
Because the cops don't trust them and they don't trust the cops. So they're trying to start some social disparity thing. And the best way to do it is to play into it for our own things and introduce our guy who is Jack the Ripper and have him go, "It's me, Jack the Ripper." No lies are technically being told except for this corpse that I'm stabbing and pretending to be Jack the Ripper. And get both of them to unite, both sides of the
Yes.
locals and the police, to chase down this guy who I was going to say dressed as Jack the Ripper is literally Jack the Ripper, but is dressed like what they, I assume, think Jack the Ripper looks like. And the idea is he needs to stall them. He's like, I can stall them for like half an hour maybe, but he needs to stall them for like an hour minimum, so they can. The guys who are planning this will gather together, going like, "Hey, someone's claiming to be Jack the Ripper. This kind of fucks with our plans a bit because they're uniting against him. And once we find those guys, we can murder all of them, and like case closed basically." And that leads for so many fucking cool action set pieces. I like the way he moves around. They don't do the spring heel Jack kind of thing or anything. Like it's just him like literally throwing knives into the wall so he can parkour off them and shit. It's pretty sweet.
We also get the Q of MI6 introduced here,
Yes.
even though he'd been introduced earlier in the comic.
Yeah, he's voiced by Tosuke Toriyomi, who I was like, is that the enigmatic Gale? And it fucking was. I looked it up. And I was just like, I know that motherfucker. And that's a perfect guy to play Q, honestly. The guy who sounds like he's too smart for everyone and letting everyone know it. But he's a real stickler for do not destroy my cool gun in its testing phase.
And by the end, I'm losing my ice out my mouth. Disgusting. At the end, we're introduced to the actual villain of the series.
Yeah. And there's so much amazingness that happens in this. I think my favorite is James Bond and what's your man's name? It begins with an M. I can never think of it. Not M.
Moran.
Like doing a crazy, it's like one in a million shot fucking sniper shot. I was just like, this is so fucking stupid, and I love it. Just great fun overall. But and then to have them go like meet up with the villains, the villains who are faking Jack the Ripper, who are just like, oh, we should team up because we also want to destroy the class system. But yeah, and they're like, yeah, but you're killing prostitutes to do it. That's not cool. Now we're gonna kill you. But we're introduced to the actual villain, who is another fucking Sherlock Holmes character. Yes,
Charles Augustus Milverton.
Would you believe he looks super handsome in this version of him?
as opposed to
a kind of overweight dude,
middle-aged blackmailer of the book.
I like the way he introduced himself as like, yes, these will come into the plans of me, Charles Middleton. Like, it's like no one says the name when they're thinking to themselves. That's weird.
They do in this sort of.
I guess thing. If you're that conceited about yourself, you might. Yeah, if you're a supervillain, I'm not really thinking.
Yes,
like
that. I think this version of him is going to be very much a supervillain. So yeah, it does raise so many questions about how much material they're going to skip to get to where I think they're going to get to.
They seem to just really want to get to the good shit. I don't fucking blame them. Yes. Honestly. Yeah.
I think they're going to be. I feel like they're racing towards the waterfall.
Yeah, I mean, what Sherlock Holmes thing doesn't try and do that, to be fair, but yeah.
The question is whether it should be trying to do it in 26 episodes.
Sure. Yeah.
When it seems like there's a lot of material between here and there, but all the material between here and there is in relation to that. So I'm like...
Yeah.
It almost feels like... I guess maybe they could put the brakes on a bit and then do another 13-episode season. But I feel like they're almost like, if we get to the end, then if we come back, we'll give it a long time. We'll come back after the time skip. Did Arthur Conan Doyle invent the time skip?
That's a good fucking point. Yeah.
But I wonder if that's what the production's plan is. But hey, it'll be a while before I can read the comics, so I'm happy to ride on this. And I think I'm going to hold off reading that latest volume till this season's finished.
Yeah, it is tempting though.
Because I think if I think even if it's not adapting stuff that they're adapted for the that's in those comics, I feel like it might be like, oh, I wish they'd adapted that, or oh, I wish they put that bit of information in. And so yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
best to stick to the anime for now.
I did read one of the chapters of the latest volume, and the fact that the show hasn't made it clear that fucking Watson is publishing Holmes's stories under the pen name of Arthur Conan Doyle, even though it's all written in the first person from Watson's perspective. I'm just like, fucking, why though? Why any of this? It's just the sheer madness we're missing out on. Again, the main flaw of the show is like that you kind of you want to be reading that comic as well to get more out of it, I suppose. But it's still a fucking amazing show. Great fun.
Yeah, and it's balanced off with the greater historical truth that it's given the setting in the anime.
Yeah.
They've done more research into the setting in the anime than they did in the comic.
Sure. The comic does read a bit like modern Holmes adaptations fanfic, in a good way, in the best possible fucking way.
Yes.
I do not mean
talking of modern homes, let's talk about the Dragon Ghost house hunting. Episode 5, A Community of Homes, in which our hero Letty is looking for a adoptive parents for this bird, which has imprinted onto him. It is the big old mythical Norse bird. When it grows up, it'll be perfectly fine to look after itself because it'll be able to summon thunder.
Well, it can summon snowstorms and it eats snow, so I'm just like, yeah, it takes care of itself after that point. But I said I have a look at it, and they did say it out loud, but it's a Hrasfelger, I think. Probably making a ham to that, but
well, luckily it gets a new name by the end, so we won't have to worry about its species for the time being. And so yeah, we're gonna check in on a monster community.
Basically rental community, and he states as much as like big monsters don't tend to do very well here, and it shows some weird Baphomet kind of looking elephant dude going like, causing noise pollution with the neighbors, wrecking the utilities and stuff. So it's like, yeah, they tend to like medium to small monsters in these communities, but it's a good place for looking for a new family for this newly hatched chick.
Yes, and the gang tends to be, oh, this seems like a good idea. Oh no, this is a terrible idea. This seems like a good idea. No.
Dear. Yeah.
There's a two-headed wolf. What was the problem with them?
The problem with them was it was totally willing to raise the chick, but the chick is kind of thinking the chick is clearly listening and sabotaging as well in some regards. Yeah. But so it's like, oh, he seems nice and quiet, so it starts like screeching its head off. It's like papa, that kind of thing. Also, the problem with that two-headed wolf, I forgot the name of that animal, but anyway, they're actually it's like, oh, are they married? It's like, no, those are two brothers, but they pretend to be husband and wife because it's hard to find a partner when you're a two-headed wolf. And I was like, that's strange, but if it works for them, like, yeah.
Then we've got I can't read the script. Empuda.
I've seen enough horny fan art of cow women. It's some sort of cow woman. Yeah.
Yes, and she's very willing, but then a Lamia shows up and is like, I take it in another pet. Because they're not supposed to have pets, but apparently she keeps on getting by this rule by adopting all her animals and treating them as her children. But then
even though she puts them in very small cages.
Yes.
I did like a lot of this, and that was the start of it, with these two arguing and bickering about the community rules, and I was like, I'll take this to the council and everything like that. And I was just like, yeah, this is apartment living. Yes. I'm familiar with all of this shit.
Then we get to the Manticore, and he's very happy to take him in, but unfortunately his children are a little too happy.
Oh, they're just play biting. They're just play tasting.
Then they run into the Kopuka from when they were living in the haunted house.
They're here to sell their wares.
Not the haunted house, the house they built.
The monster house, I guess.
Yes, yeah. The one they were trying to attract heroes in order to make money. And they've come here to sell what they hunted, and they'll after they've sold it, they'll check out this bird and see if they want to adopt it. But then he sees what it is. It's just a chicken.
Yeah.
But I like the
A
idea
mighty
of these.
beast that they've dragged into town. It's just like a stripped and beheaded chicken kind of thing. Yeah. Which is just fun. It's just like Letty does want to take care of the thing. Is it the were-panther after that?
It's the were-panther, yeah. The
that guy
ripped
was great.
were-panther running his gym.
It's like, oh, this guy's gonna get swole and all that kind of fucking shit. Just funny stuff.
And is it there they run into they meet the bugbears.
Yeah.
They have a chat with them, and then the Cato Bless shows up and offers to take it because he can sell it to the dwarves.
Ooh, those nasty dwarves. Yeah, and he's willing to take the baby bugbears as well. But Letty threatens him with his mighty fire breath, which he only manages to singe his own tongue with.
Well, it's more than he's done so far.
Yeah, it's an improvement, but it's not much of an improvement. But the legend of the what's one of his many cool names, like the Fiery Death or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It's the thing from when he killed those heroes earlier.
Yeah, this guy's known as the Fiery Death. It's like he's killed so many heroes, and it's just like that was all you and other monsters.
Flame Dragon, Lord of Mass Destruction.
That's it.
That's what some call him.
It's true. I mean, like, not incorrect.
Yeah. And he's gonna name him. Look after him. It's his child now. Pip, short for, and I have to find this very long name. Piovolt Felpia P Alpine Pioderica.
Because you gotta have a full fucking name, but the shortness of it is good as well. Also, we don't have to try and pronounce this Norse mythology bird and get it wrong every fucking time. So that's a nice improvement as well.
Yes.
I did like the several hero attacks that you get in this valley, but like the landlords sorted out, and I was like, I like that idea. The landlords are like the boss monsters.
Yes.
Taking care of the little guys who pay the rent.
It's like a chimera, isn't it? The landlord.
And also a bunch of Fist of the North Star guys show up, which is great.
They do, yes.
This show, man, it's great. Just packed full of jokes.
Yep. And then we get a discussion about the differences between the names of places and how it's relatively meaningless.
Yeah, you can call it a mansion or a chateau or whatever. It's just like it's just a rental property. There's no legal distinction between them.
Then it's Megalobox Nomad Episode 5. Promised Land answered that there is no Messiah. Dwayne, tell us what happened in Megalobox.
It's the backstory. We're going to get it mostly in black and white because it was 5 years ago before they had black and white telly. I didn't mind that as a conceit for it, but it's kind of going through Joe going back to the place where they'd set up their what was the name of I've instantly forgotten the name of the gym. Like the Nowhere Gym. That wasn't
it's flown out my mind.
It was the same thing they'd set up for their initial thing, but this is the one that they'd set up more long term, and they were teaching basically like a youth club kind of thing, a youth boxing club. And they were doing that kind of work, and it's all going pretty good. Everything's pretty happy, but it keeps cutting between that and him walking around that area. So like when you see them take the photo of like its founding and everything like that, it's contrasted with him meeting up with that doc from season 1. The doc's like, "Get the fuck out of here, you son of a bitch." He sees the doc as a apprentice, and it's just like, "Oh, I didn't think you were going to take on an apprentice." It's like, dude, it's 5 years. All those kids are grown the fuck up now, and that's one of the kids who is very not interested to talk to Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's more surprising that some of these kids were old enough to have grown the fuck up in 5 years in the first place.
I think they were all malnourished in season 1. So
some of them have got significantly different facial features than they used to have.
I don't know, dude. Like by primary school, by the end of it, I was taller than the teacher. So I mean, like sometimes it'll catch you that way. So.
But had your nose completely changed shape? like Sachio's has.
Well, he's become a boxer now, so he's probably got it broken in several places.
Well, and now it looks much more attractive than it used to.
Sometimes a broken nose looks good on a guy.
Now I was like, now the puberty of Kobe in One Piece seems more realistic. Now I see what Sachio's happened to him.
Sometimes it hits you like a ton of handsome bricks.
It does, and to be fair, it took 5 years as opposed to 6 months or whatever it was for Kobe to metamorphose.
Yeah, that's true. Whereas Luffy hadn't changed basically at all in the same amount of time.
But yeah, if people weren't saying the word Sachio, I'm not sure you'd recognise the character when he shows up.
Like he's the vague hair, like he's the vaguely the same haircut, but not really because his head is completely different. But yeah. It's kind of going over the backstory is that the gym was going pretty well, but what got Ganbu in the end was cancer, lymph node, or like it was straight in his lymph nodes. I don't think it specifies what cancer it is, but so the best they can do is probably like prolong and make it easier for him, but this is like inevitable at this stage. So as a way of kind of denying what is an inevitable thing, Joe decides to take up Yuri's protege in a fight. I think more so as a distraction because I've seen this in reality too fucking much, too often, of people just trying to run away from inevitable fucking death and everything. And it's rough. It's pretty fucking rough to watch, honestly. I mean, like, that's what it's going for, but yeah. But in the modern thing, I did like the way Sachio just shows up to kick the shit out of him while he's trying to sleep in the. I thought it was a burnt out gym, but it was like blown away by a typhoon or something.
Yeah, because they mentioned that in the very first episode about the typhoon. Because the impression you get more in this series than you did in the first that it's some sort of climate apocalypse has occurred.
Yeah, and if you're rich already, you're kind of sorted. But if you're living in the dregs, like they said, they didn't even get typhoon warnings. The only reason that, like the doc said, fortunately no one was killed in it was because Sachio got wind of it. Got basically read a weather report or something like that, and was like, "Oh fuck," and got everyone evacuated in time, which is good. But obviously, it did completely destroy the gym, so no fucking, only an empty shell of it left. But yeah, he did show up to beat the shit out of Joe with a fucking bat initially, which was pretty great. And even after he kicks the shit out of him for a bit and leaves him in a big bloody heap. We have our other boxer from season 1 coming in, the veteran.
Yeah.
And he's like, I came here to kick the shit out of you, but someone already did it for me, so I just patched you up instead. Gonna catch you up, bring you to Gambu's grave, which was set up in his the veteran community, I think it was. Again, there's so much in this world. Is like, this world is. I mean, maybe too close to reality, but this world is super fucked from whatever disasters are going on in it. And yeah, he taught Sachio how to fight because Sachio asked. Even though I was like, I could see he wasn't going to be a boxer, but I could see he wasn't going to give up either. And he kind of went off on his own like 6 months ago, and now he's underground fighting. Very similar to a young Joe. Yeah,
but he's useless. So we learn.
It was useless, and he's a kid. Like he's not. He doesn't have the right temperament for boxing, and also he's just doing it as a way. It's a self-destructive thing. Like that's going to be a lot of themes in this show in general, but in this season in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like. Oh, I'm still quite loud. I'm getting too excited by all this anime. Yeah, it seems like that the next fight's going to have, by the end of, I assume, 8, the next fight will be beating up Sachio to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, rough.
And then I guess we'll get to all the other characters.
Because it did mention that
from the show.
a lot of the younger kids were taken into an orphanage by I've forgotten her name now. She ran the Megalobox thing, and Yuri was her fighter, basically. But that organization, everything. So it's kind of like they're mentioning like these guys are still around and still doing shit in the background. We didn't get the particulars in the flashbacks of Joe's fight that made him go in this long fucking 5-year self-destruction thing. But fairly rough watching. But again, that's kind of the intent, and I'm hoping it kind of because that seems to be the suggestion from that short episodes arc with Chief and everything. That it's just like, yeah, good things can come out of this, but like when shit's kind of fucked, it's like people are going to die and it's going to suck, and it's like, yeah, that's always been kind of the theme of Tomorrow's Joe and any adaptations of it. Is just like, yeah, sadness and fighting. It's a destructive lifestyle, basically.
Then we got Fruits Basket, the final season, episode 5. I mean, you know.
I mean, you know, right? Let me try and remember what the fuck happened. God, I'm gonna need to find a quick thing of this because my brain is just melting.
Unfortunately,
that's okay.
I mean, you know, right? Apparently, is how they got it on the fandom page.
Yeah.
Maybe it was you mean you know right, and it just got cut off on the Crunchyroll.
I think it probably did.
Momji seems completely different this school year. He's got a taller body and a deeper voice, but has anything changed on the inside?
Yeah, he's gotten like he's shot the fuck up in terms of like puberty hitting you like a ton of bricks again. Fucking that's just the week for it, I guess. He's like taller than Toru now, and he's still like his cute self, but all the girls are kind of fawning over him and stuff as usual, because it's a hot Soma boy, and that's what they do. But a lot of it's kind of playing into him, which is kind of interesting because he's had a really interesting arc and growth in the show where he's kind of been maturing away, and he's nearly like egging on our cat boy Kyo, where he's like, hey, if you give up on Toru, you know, I'm gonna fucking sweep her out from under your feet, kind of thing. I'm gonna go for that. And it's clear, like, he's kind of thinking to himself, there's no way I can. She clearly loves this guy, but this is something that I can do. It's a kind of point I can prove. And unbeknownst to himself as to the specifics of how or any other thing, he doesn't know how it happened himself, but he knows when it happens, and Akito knows when it happens. He's broken his curse. He kind of just wakes up. He's like, wait a minute, I'm fucking free. And Akito kind of comes up to him and is like, hey, what the fuck? You can't leave me. And it's just like, he's kind of just looking at Akito and just thinking, it's just like, why the fuck did I ever give a shit about you, kind of thing. It's like, hey, you go off and do your thing. When are you going to escape the ties that bind you down, kind of thing. Really kind of interesting combination of him still being childish, having physically grown up, but like the maturity and the kind of braveness that he's displayed as a character. Really interesting development there. And again, I don't know the specifics of, I've forgotten because it's been years since I read the comics. I've forgotten the specifics of how they're breaking the curse, but it's something about like kind of a self-realization kind of thing, as far as I can remember. But the specifics escape me. Still enjoying the show. Like, it's still, again, he's being treated super harshly for breaking his curse and everything, but it kind of is hopeful in that it's like, yeah, you're not stuck in this. You're not trapped by this. You can escape from it, because one of the things he kind of does is meet up with his mother, who's been hypnotized to think that she's not his mother because of trauma of giving birth to a rabbit, I guess. And he kind of like it kind of gives him some kind of closure to move on with his life, and it's very well, like the visuals are good of it, of him kind of like stepping away from his younger self, like his slightly smaller self that was only like a few months ago. He's had a crazy growth spurt, but it's the fact that he can move on from that person that he used to be, and that while he doesn't have those attachments to the somas that he had, like this like literal magical mystical attachment to them, he can forge his own attachments, and he has the potential to be happy in future. And I was just like, okay, yeah, so it's like it's starting from a place of sadness, but it shows that there is a place of hope to get to. Yeah, still enjoying the show. Great stuff.
Then we've got ODDTAXI, episode 5. Don't Call Me an Idol.
And I think this was the only show this week, and this is a good week, but this was one was good. Oh fuck, that I said out loud as soon as I saw what the fuck was going on and who was following Otokawa.
Yeah, because the first half of the episode is taken up with Odokawa taxiing the supporting idols from Mystery Kiss.
Hmm.
So presumably this is happening before the end of episode 3.
Yeah,
Must
yeah,
be, yeah.
I think so.
Um, because last time we saw the Calico Cat, she's meeting the monkey
Hmm.
at the bus stop.
And it's also because it's the manager bringing the idols to the practice place it's separately, and that's like
Yes.
making the journey longer. But also he was talking about Odokawa on the phone and the dash cam data in episode 3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because Tanaka was all episode. No, nobody else but Tanaka.
Mm-mm.
God, I turned myself down and somehow I got louder again. But only when I hit like any particular deep notes. This microphone may take a bit of adjusting. It's
Mm-mm.
clearly better than the old one. Um, so, yes, we'll be doing all sorts of things. Yeah, that he's the guy who's after the data, or maybe, yeah, he's specifically the guy who's after the data,
Yeah.
as well as the guy who's trying to find. So the tapier's after the data, this
Mm.
guy's after the data. Anybody else who's been after the data is purely wanting it in order to give it to one of these two people or sell it to one of these two people.
Yeah, and the reason he's kind of after it is like Arakawa kind of like in two different ways like reveals that he knows extra shit. It's like, hey, that girl looks really familiar. I recognize her off something. Maybe I saw her on TV, and it's like, no, it couldn't be that because she wears a mask in her idol stuff. But obviously he recognized her because his friend went, hey, check out who I'm dating.
Yes.
But also because he mentions it's like, oh, that's your manager spot up there. Yeah, I took a girl from there the other day. She must work for your company. He's like, we only run one band out of that company, and it's like, so he's like, who the fuck did you take? Which of the two idols have you taken before? And he has a good idea that it is the missing girl that they're not saying is missing.
Yes. And
Yeah.
as we're picking up the first one, we see her getting a phone from somebody in another taxi.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
it's a gray hand and everything, so you got that cartoonness is doing you favors in terms of the design. I was like, okay, who the fuck is Gray Hands? I was like, okay, that guy for
yes.
one, and it is that guy. So yeah,
Yeah, once, yeah, it became obviously we see him, and then because we see her wedge the phone in the backseat of the taxi
she
before she
claims to
gets
not know a
out.
lot of shit, but like when she's kind of like, it's like, ooh, fried chicken place, and like stuffs the phone in while she's leaning across the manager to disguise that fucking action, basically.
Yeah, so the
Yeah,
question is, does she know Tanaka, or did Tanaka just see that she was waiting for Odakawa and therefore just asked her if she'd do this? That's the
yeah,
big question.
yeah. We don't know
Is
the
how
relation.
that connection's made. Because we saw so much of Tanaka
Mm.
that you think surely he hasn't got any friends. So how does she know? How does he know her? Um,
Yeah, but I mean, like in terms of, would he be closer to her age as well? Because both of them are kind of a little
uh,
younger.
yeah, he's 24, so I think
She's
they're
supposed to be a bit
all
younger, yeah.
18, aren't they? Yeah,
Yeah. And it's possible the new Black Cat is even younger than them. Yeah, or at least less experienced, anyway.
yeah. He's 24, so he's in the middle of um, them and the alpaca, who's 28.
Oh, the other thing that we get,
Yes.
because we don't get the reveal of why the manager and a shady looking polar bear were reacting to them dating kind of thing. We do because she basically goes like, I'm sick of dating old guys. And the manager's like, shut up. Don't fucking say that in the taxi. Because he seems to be just saying to Odokawa, was like, hey, you seem like a tight-lipped kind of guy. You can keep you can keep a secret kind of thing. And I want to keep these girls separate, but it'd be nice to use the same taxi thing. And Odokawa was like, well, I won't always be available. But then he's like, you know a little too fucking much, though. Yeah,
Well, that's why he wants to keep on using him because he suspects he knows something.
yeah. And best to keep your fucking friends and enemies close, I guess. Yeah.
Which is a nice mirror of the conversation Odokawa has with Dobu after he's speaking to Gariki. So again, is this the bit? Is he having this conversation before Gariki's
Yeah.
disappeared,
Mm-mm.
or has he disappeared because of what he's saying? He's just shut the clinic down because he doesn't want anyone to investigate.
Like, is him shutting the clinic down part of his disappearing? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's
I mean, like,
basically
yeah, I think you're right. We're getting it out of order a little.
because he's shutting it down in order to avoid any scandal over drugs
Yeah,
being stolen.
we have a bunch of drugs missing in the stocks. So what I'll do is I'll shut down the clinic for a bit. We'll just say we're doing refurbishments, and that way the drugs will go out of fucking out of date, and that way I can just say they're just like, oh, we have to scrap those and order in a bunch of ones, because if I get caught with this amount of thing, it's going to look like I'm complicit in it.
Yeah, whereas Dobu seems to know more about Odakawa because he knows the Shira. What's the name? What's the alpaca's name? Shira.
Yeah, my brain is
Anyway, the alpaca.
yeah.
But he also seems to know something about Odakawa's fear of water.
Yes, because he makes that very specific threat. Because Odokawa was kind of like, all right, so like, are you and whatever the alpaca's name? God, there's too many names to run by. I'm bad at names anyway.
Well, luckily they're all animals, so that's easy.
So that makes my life a little easier. If they have superhero names or if they're animals, I'm good. For some reason. Yeah, so he's like, are you involved with her? Does she have a connection to you, kind of thing? And he's like, yeah, a little. And he's like, she's selling you drugs, isn't she? And it's like, I didn't fucking say that. I didn't say that. Because he's doing this thing. Was like, you can ask me one fucking question, and Odokawa ends up asking him several fucking questions.
Yes.
Kind of grilling him. But he's like, well, what's the point of me fucking going with? Like you said, you'd threaten her to get me to do what you want, but now I know she's working with you, so what's the point? It's like, well, I could just fucking tie your arms and legs together and drown you in a bath, huh? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good at knowing what people wouldn't like to fucking hear.
And he has him meet him at the docks, and Odakawa was like, this of all places. So I'm like, I'm assuming Odakawa was the figure we see falling through water in the opening credits.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
This is something which has happened in his past, which has perhaps led to his illness. In the first place. But yeah, I get the impression from Dabu that I'm like, maybe he's getting those drugs not to sell, but because he needs them for some reason or for some person. Because he's a lot softer than his reputation, isn't he?
Yeah. Like Sham was watching it over my shoulder, and I was like, "Fucking!" I was in fear, like that someone's gonna end up fucking killed at the end of this thing. And he was saying, "It's like, oh, it's because that monkey with the gun is gonna shoot the taxi driver." It's like, no, I don't think he's even gonna fucking do it. Honestly, I think he's just like a gangster in over his head a little bit. Basically,
he hasn't got his gun anymore either.
No, he specifically doesn't. I know who the fuck has his gun, and that guy wants to use it. And now has a tracking device on Odokawa's car. Yeah.
And knows where he lives. And then we check in with the monkey on his date, and he's out of his depth.
Over his fucking head. Oh my god. Yeah. I wasn't so much worried in this episode. He just looks like a fucking idiot in this episode. But then that preview for the next episode, I was like, oh, dude, no, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. So I'm like, are they running us? Is the panda part of that loan company? And this is what the scam is.
Yeah.
Or is there another scam going on top of him getting into debt?
Yeah, are they actually trying to catch guys with money, or are they trying to specifically get guys indebted to them who they know don't have money? I don't fucking know yet. Yeah.
Yeah, my playing of the Yakuza games thinks it's the latter, but
because if you have a guy in your pocket, you can get him to do a lot of stuff for you. Like they're doing to Odokawa, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, that's because of playing Yakuza games, and particularly 4 and 5, when one of the characters you're playing is a loan shark.
You know the fucking score. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, is that where that's going? We get a good deal of time on that date, and but most importantly, yeah, we also get earlier in the conversation with Dabu, one of his problems he's got is some YouTuber has declared war on him.
He seems genuinely nervous about that as well. Again, he seems super fucking softer. There's another thing where Odokawa points out, it's like, no wonder your man's running fucking rings around you, kind of thing. But like, because this random fucking young hippo is just it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy, and he's stabbing a picture of him on his dartboard and shit. And I was like, I feel like you can call the cops over that, even if you're currently wanted by the police, right? That's a dangerous individual. He claims also that Dobu has done like every crime under the sun, literally, as I think the way he puts it.
Yes. And I like how we get to see that video is during the date, because she's not interested in the monkeys conversation. She's busy watching a YouTube video.
Every time she lights up about him talking about money, and every time and he's like, "Well, I don't." I was like, "Wow, do you have a flight to get out to this restaurant?" It's like, "Wow, you must have a private plane." He's like, "I'm not that fucking rich." He's like, and she gets back on the fucking phone, loses interest immediately after money is taken off the table. Basically, it's so fucking obvious. He's been
But
played very easily.
but we also learned during that conversation that somebody else has come into a load of money.
Yep.
Our skunk friend with the ticket that he didn't pay the taxi fare with.
Uh,
His
yeah,
lottery
yeah,
ticket was paid out, apparently.
and you can see her be annoyed that it's like because he's a fan of the main idol in the group, not
Yes.
her specifically. But you can see her kind of thinking, especially with her talking with the manager earlier, where it's like, I think you need to promote me more and that kind of shit. And she's like, no, no, we'll get you sorted out and everything. And she's kind of like, and also the fact that the lead idol can come up late to practice. Both of them comment on that. They seem both annoyed by it.
Yeah.
So maybe pull her into the whole luring in dudes and trying to get their money, because that's the kind of bullshit she has to do as an idol. Like if I have to do the bullshit getting old dudes to pay me money, she can get her biggest fan to fucking get the money off him. Yeah.
So next week, yeah, it looks like we've got the skunk. We've got more fun at the Lone Shark. We've got the comedians at the radio show.
Oh, I keep forgetting to check out the in-universe podcast and see if the auto-translate subtitles work on that, because I was enjoying it, but it just stopped working, feeding into the conspiracies more. Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy the best thing.
So well
Pairing.
done. So well done. Yeah, yeah.
A absolute joy. Though I have to say, it was not the thing which gave me the most joy this week. We'll get to that later. Because something happened in one of these shows that I was not expecting, and it blew my little socks off.
Mm-mm.
But first of all, it's Zombieland Saga Revenge Episode 5, Little Bodda Bope Saga, in which we have Lily deciding. And this seems to be the running theme of this series, is the manager being put in his place by the idols.
More experienced idols, honestly. Yeah, they
Yes.
had all of them except for possibly the one that is just straight up a zombie and the one that was never an idol. Although she has idol experience in her own fucking way now that I think about it.
Yes.
All of them have more idol experience than this guy. And I can't tell if he was pretending to be a mud skipper in order to make the act look good, or because he genuinely wanted to win on Japan's Got Talent or whatever the fake name was they have for it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's Japan's Got.
A synonym for talent.
Yeah,
yeah,
something, yeah. So Lily's going. Yes, this is going to be national TV exposure because Lily's the TV star.
And him
Who
coming
knows
in and
all
doing
about-
his bit, and he was doing like an underwater bit, and she's just totally taken over the class, and he has to sit down. He's bad at his job.
Well, the first part of the job, raising people from the dead, he got that right.
He got that right with like at least 6 out of 7 of them, so that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
And, like it feels like in this season they've become the qualms of being zombies is generally over, except this recurring thing of you're never gonna age.
yeah, that does keep coming up, and it makes me think that they have a limited time, and that's the thing he was saying as well. I have a limited time with this whole Saga project that I'm doing.
Yeah, because
So I mean, like whether they're limited as in they're only undead for so long, or that people will fucking notice that they're not aging,
yes,
which is probably an obvious one. Yeah.
and I think Lily's the key to that because they're gonna
Mm.
more particularly now being on national TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lily's gonna sing a song that she used to sing with her dad as a way to remember her mum.
I mean,
And
that's her second part. Her first part is
Second
telling
part.
like this old like a story. I thought that was nice. It was
it's
just like
a
everyone
pun
was
on
into
a pun because yes, because I'm realizing it's a pun on a pun as I look at the wiki because she's zombie number 6, zombie Rakugo, so she's doing Rakugo.
I just thought it was like an old, I guess the pun obviously, but
Yes.
I like the idea of her being like an old TV star, so that like telling a story would have been a thing, an entertainment. So everyone's kind of surprised. It's like, oh, a little kid telling a story, okay, but they're all like very charmed by it, and she has to compete with a different child actor who's in it for the game, man. He only came into Saga because he knew he could win against like the lack of talent in this friggin' backwater sticks. He seems very nice, except when in private, he's a little shit.
Yeah, well, that's because he realised his time as a child is short, so he's got to take advantage of it so he can get onto
You're only
Broadway.
cute for so long. Yeah, yeah.
Because it was like, oh, those lines. I was like, okay, that's again tying into the
Yeah.
not going to age. And obviously, I feel like Lily's handling it better than Saki was, again, because I think it's easier for Lily.
Yeah.
Not having an adult friend, somebody who used to be your age, wandering around with a family.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it does sort of use that shot of her imagining herself as an older girl, but part of the thing, and it comes up again in this, of her transness, is that she never has to grow up into a boy or a man.
Yeah.
Because she'll get to stay small forever, so she never gets to hit like male puberty. And again, that's kind of hinted at in this, where she's meeting the other kid in the boys' bathroom. It's like, this is the boys' bathroom, and she's just like, it's just me, it's fine. And I was like, that's nice. There's a nice subtlety to that kind of shows her comfort in herself, basically.
Yes, because this punk does the song she was planning on doing as the second
The
part.
little shit, yeah. That has to have been on purpose, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the way she says it around him for him to know.
She does bring in the script with her, but I don't know if he sees it. He doesn't seem to react to it. But sorry, not the script, the lyrics. The sheet music.
Well, but again, it might be because his thing, and this is the key difference, is he's trying to win this by appealing to adults. So he deliberately messes up his juggling, and then recovers, so all the adults will be like, "Yay!" And then he does this song.
They want him to succeed. Yeah, yeah.
And he may be doing the song for a similar reason to Lily. Obviously, she's planning on doing it for her dad, but he's doing it because adults will find it cute that I'm singing this song.
Yeah.
Whereas when Lily rearranges the
song,
she
remixes the song, and it's appealing to her base, which is little kids.
Yes, and the little kids in the audience get up and dance along with the rest of Lily Choo. And then she comes second in the final, but then we see like all the kids are copying the dance when they go to school. They're doing it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a meme. It's a viral kind of sensation.
Yes, and that's why he's struggling at the end, because he's like, I've won, but I wasn't the star of the show.
Yeah, like she just displayed far more raw fucking talent, has been able to rearrange a song on the fly and do a better performance, because he couldn't. He had set up the song beforehand. He had set up purposely failing at the juggling to succeed at it later, whereas she could just adapt like straight away to a given situation, which is just fucking raw talent. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And next episode is a Thai episode by the looks of things from the trailer.
I did actually enjoy Thai in this episode, because there's a lot of herself and Sakura reacting to this little snot-nosed fucking brat, and there was a lot of like zombie like reacting to a small child being like actually evil, but from a zombie with a zombie voice. Fucking great performance. So more of that, please.
And I like the little gag of Sakura having to teach Ai how to be a fan.
Yeah, like she has more idol experience than the fucking manager, just by being a fan of idols. Yeah.
It's like you don't hold the banner up that height. You got to hold it right above your head so people can see it.
There's no shame in it. Do not be embarrassed. Yeah.
Then we've got DYNAZENON, episode 6. What is this pain? In which everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, there was a lot of good. There's a lot of good shows this season, but I really like all the setup of this. I think my favorite shots in this with the umbrellas on his date. Fucking love that, because you initially have the two umbrellas like making like a heart shape with the handles, and then the husband shows up, and then they're kind of separated from each other. I was like, that's fucking good. That's good shit.
And I like that the husband is not a horrible person. That's what makes it worse, is that he's...
The worst is he's not getting his name right. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah, because I'm confusing your name with like a very similar name. It's not
Yes.
out of spite or anything. It's just because he's a bit of an idiot. Like, but he's not harmless. He's trying to engage you in conversation. He's
Yeah.
excited to meet his wife's friend. But it's just like,
Yeah, because I like the way everybody's problems, like even like investigating, oh, why did my sister commit suicide or possibly be
yeah,
murdered? It's more that she doesn't get a nice clean answer is the problem.
yeah,
It's like just like the level of depression that would still make you all turn up to work. Just not necessarily put you
yeah.
back into it.
Because the guy running the choir says, yeah, there was rumors of bullying, but I didn't really see any of it. And there's a bunch more videos that were taken down or made private after she died because rumors of bullying. And it's basically they're pulling pranks on her sister,
Yeah.
but she seems to be like she's smiling at the end. She's like, "Ah, you got me, guys," kind of thing. But it's like, was that actually bullying? Was it? And again, it's not clean. There's not a definitive answer,
Yes.
despite it being evidence of potential. It's not clear. Yeah.
Yeah, and he runs into your fella, the 33-year-old Neat, runs into Regina after he's left the girl he used to have a crush on, and yeah, they get drunk again. They get further drunk. He manages to lose his part of the robot.
No, I mean, like, again, this thing is excellent for shots. There's a shot of him like basically crying on a fucking staircase while drunk, and you can see his toy car beside him on the staircase.
Oh,
Shot of her kind of looking,
I
and then
love
a
the
shot
fact
of
when
him.
it drops, it sounds like plastic.
Yeah, it's a toy car. But like the shot of after her reaction of him on the stairs is him without the toy car on the stairs. So it's clear. It's like, yeah, she fucking just went like
Yes.
yoink. Because a lot of her characterization in this was she's just, I'll just vote for what everyone else wants to do. I don't really have a personality of my own. But then she saw an opportunity. Is like, I could fuck up Dynazenon here. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yes.
And then she's even when she brings it back to the lads hiding out in their abandoned warehouse, as the criminals often do. She's like, "Should I have stole this? Was this a good idea? I don't fucking know."
Yeah, and they're discussing whether they should just kill Galba's team. Uh,
That's what I said, says the crazy guy who nearly
yes.
dies every episode.
I like that Suzumu seems to be like the one out of the entire show who's got it together the most.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Uh,
basically, he's excited to maybe Dynazenon is bringing out the kaiju, and that's good because the more we get the kaiju, the more
yes,
practice we get, and the better we get at it. So maybe we should leave him have it, kind of thing. It's not like
yes,
we lose every week, but then we come again in next week. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
because he thinks kaiju will change the world, and we see in evidence that
Yes.
it does because when Regina has to assist Onija controlling the, I want to just call him a. What
Like a
was it
pantomime
reminding me
horse.
of? Yeah, it's sort of like a pantomime horse. Yeah.
I couldn't
Uh,
figure out if that's supposed to be a transformer this week. I was just like, there's a lot of things that look similar, but I was like, I'm not getting a one for one on anything. But yeah, there might be.
that it seems to change her personality in doing so. She becomes
She's nearly like it. She nearly like imprints on the angry guy because she's like more angry than him because she's also playing the part of the horse with him. Something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So it seems like maybe the personality of the kaiju comes back into people maybe as well. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, the guys in Dinosaur have got doing the most lackluster giant robot fight you
Oh,
can
it's so
imagine.
good because
It's
even them
so
going
good.
like Diana combine, and they're saying it not at the same time. It's very well done. Yeah.
Yes, because they're all fine with getting into the robot and giving it a go, but because they're all the way they are, none of them are going to talk about their problems.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Because their problems are all kind of vague and
They're not
as I
like
say,
they're not a kaiju you can punch in a giant robot.
yes,
Their life problems are more complicated and nuanced, and it's like, wait,
yes,
so that girl showed me something fucked up when I was young, and I didn't want to get in on that, but maybe she likes me now, but she's hanging out with her husband still, and she invited her husband to the date. I thought I was cheating with
yes.
her.
I mean,
What's going
yeah,
on?
it's
It's
like
complicated.
you may verbalize. It's like, why can't life be simple? And that is essentially what their problem is why can't life be simple? And then
That's
yes,
exactly what your man put together on the Kaiju Genesis. It's kind of like, yeah, wouldn't it be simple if you just had to fight giant monsters? It's very basic. You just wrestle it, and a bunch of buildings get collapsed, and it's exciting and explosive. And a lot of
yes,
people die in that fight because a lot of buildings exploded
get
or
just
melted.
flattened, yeah,
Yeah.
or jumped on.
Mm.
Yeah, and it looks like oh no, Dinozenon's going to be defeated through their inability to fire it up. When all of a sudden, Suzumu notices something falling from the sky. It's only bloody Grid Knight. End of episode. I was like, fucking hell.
Fucking great. Amazing fucking show. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, that stone that Shisei picked up appears to be growing.
Yeah, and she's wondering what the deal is with that. So am I, the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, when Grid Knight showed up, I was like, okay. I saw somebody pointed out that the shot of Shisei's face in the opening is very similar to the shot of Grid Knight's face we get here. So
Yeah,
they were
there's a
wondering
few.
whether
There's
she's controlling this rather than it being Anti.
Oh, that would be interesting because like they have been. Oh, again? I'm so bad at names. What's your one who controls the grid? I was going to say grid wing, the Dyna wing.
UA.
UA, like there's a lot of shots of her, like hanging out at the top of the roof, her looking out at the window that are shot at like the exact same angle and the same setup as our villain from Grid Knight. And I was just like, to again, like this is our villain who has fallen and like is kind of separating herself from humanity and shit like that. And she's doing the same because she's trying to investigate this thing of her sister and is getting no clean answers from it. So you could like it's trying to make those parallels between the two characters by putting in those visuals that they're literally in the same kind of positions and therefore in the same kind of frame of mind. It's like it's such a well fucking made show. Yeah.
Yes. And now Grid Knight's here. You're like, okay, are we in a virtual world or has Grid Knight escaped to a virtual world?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're in a virtual world, which one of these four depressed people are the one creating it? Are any of them
Are we
creating
even a
it?
Morpurger now? I don't
Yeah.
fucking know. Yeah, yeah, because it
Uh,
has established several times this is a whole fucking world because they went into space like instantaneously, basically.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of questions for it to answer next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like halfway, it was a good halfway point of like, okay, this completely changes everything.
Yeah, it puts everyone in like a really uncomfortable position where they don't know what the fuck is going on, and then it upends the entire fucking setup anyway. Just great stuff.
Talking of having your setups upended, Back Arrow episode 18. Is
Okay, I was
this
half right about the guys turning into like energy so they could be reborn. It's like no, just so we can make a dead statue of them.
so we can reach God? Uh, is
Mm-hmm.
this the world's truth? Well, who knows? Good question, title, because given who's telling us the world's truth, still don't know.
Probably bullshit. I like again. He might be fucking being played as much as the rest of these fucking guys, for all we know, but in
Or
a different regard. Yeah.
they'll get to God and God will be saying, "What's that fucker been saying about me?"
I just put you in a box so you'd stay there. That's all I was doing. Or put you in a wall or
Uh,
whatever way you want to put it. Yeah.
so turns out the leader of the Lin Faith, when they get there, is only bloody Rudolph.
It was me all along. Those weren't like manifestations of people using the energy. That was just your one doing the illusion thing. Remember, that's her thing. She does illusions. Ah, gotcha, fuckers.
And now we're at Epitaph Mountain, the place closest to God. I can now fix you, Back Arrow, so you can become the destroyer of worlds that you were supposed to be.
Hmm.
And then I'll attach you to Luto's dreadnought after you've killed everybody.
Again,
And
completely not in control of himself, kind of thing, just wildly firing off beams. Because I like the way Luto was kind of like, is just like, oh, don't worry, send the whole army after him. We got loads of bind warpers, and he doesn't kill people. So if he knocks them out, they can just come back here and grab another bind warper. We'll just overwhelm him with numbers. But then he just starts dissolving humans, like and screaming, "I don't want to dissolve humans." And they're all just like, "Oh fuck! Oh, we fucked up. We're all dead." And you get to see the choir die and everything. It's just like all
yes,
your favorites are fucking dead.
Well, the choir don't panic. They carry on singing a song as they're being killed.
They're consummate professionals. Yeah,
Exactly.
singing about what's happening right now.
Crazy, crazy stuff.
Mm.
And so yeah, there's a lot of that's the main tension. They managed to free Back Arrow by blowing the dreadnought up from beneath him.
Yeah, because he's like, shoot me, kill me while I can hold it back just for now. And they're like, well, if we just separate you, then you won't have the power to kill us all, and then you just fly the fuck away, and we'll figure this shit out. That's our plan.
And the how are they going to do this? Well, luckily, it's time for Admiral Bit to pull rank and get everybody to listen to him.
Yeah, man starts giving out to him. He's like, technically, I'm your boss, so let me just tell you my crazy plan. I got a shitload of junk, and I left it in the ship. Let's check
Yes.
it out. Come on, guys.
You may remember everything from the first episode. Well, I stored it here on this giant spaceship,
Hmm.
including the pod that Arrow came in, and it's full of gadgets. And
Also, you
she,
know that pod can break the wall and
yes,
like fly through the sky. However, the fuck it does that, we don't fucking know, but it is a thing that can pierce that barrier. Yeah.
and Shu compliments Bit, and
Hmm.
this is they've got a plan. They're going to have a word with God. Um, I do like them just not having any of this nonsense that Rudolph's laying down. It's just
Yeah, I mean, like even if it's fucking true, it's like, yeah, but we're gonna fight him though, right? Obviously,
yes,
we're gonna beat this fucker up. Yeah, obviously.
yeah, you're going to kick God's ass, which is always a favourite plot of mine in a
Mm, mm, mm,
be it a cartoon, be it a comic. Attack and dethrone God.
mm.
Um,
Because if you have a world, even in this one, and you see the messed up things in it, who's the asshole whose fault this is? And if you can kick his ass, go for it. Yeah.
yeah. Of course, there is still the question of whether there is a god, whether the god is actually at fault and it's not just Rudolph overstepping his bounds,
Mm, mm.
whether it is the illusionary woman who's actually behind it.
It feels like she's more important than like lets on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the opening credits definitely make it feel like that.
Yes, yeah.
But now you're like, okay, Wrecker's the only power left. And I guess at this point they're going to, as the plan is, kill everybody inside Lingerland. I
Mm.
guess they're now on everybody's side.
Yeah, I guess allies to enemy or enemies to
Yes,
allies. It could be. Yeah, yeah.
yes, and we know from the early credits we're getting the Emperor versus Rudolph at some point.
Mm, mm. Just the two
Uh,
crazy bastards in. I forgot that fucking. I forgot to mention that scene in the last one that maybe like I was just like the ridiculous thing of the Emperor blowing up the other dreadnought and then crash landing and saying like, "Hey guys, I found a bunch of junk in here," and everyone laughed. I was just like, it was such a fucking bizarre sitcom situation. All these evil generals are just having a laugh now, and it's just like, yeah, because they're probably the good guys now at this stage of the fucking
yes.
show.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Emperor never wanted to destroy the world, did he? He just wanted to have a good fight.
Yeah, yeah, he just wants to beat up someone, and if that person is God, then so be it.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, you know, at this point now, if God is malevolent, Fide's going to have to put that black um, Mind Warper on and kick God's ass in her evil form.
She is like kind of tapping that and going like it's soon kind of stuff. And we got a lot of guys with some good stuff. Even our new Queen of Dreadnought is
Yes.
getting some fucking licks in, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody gets. I just wish it looked a little bit better. I wish it looked as good as it was written. But I feel
Yeah, yeah.
it's not so much the robots because they will generally look good. In fact, when the robots look bad, it's when they've been drawn 2D as opposed to
Like
using the
they're
models.
too chunky. They're too like human shaped. Yeah, I was noticing that as well. But
But
yeah.
yeah, that's until you get the details of people's faces in those columns going up to the sky.
It was hilarious that they managed to see, oh, look, it's the doc's face. And I was just like, how in all these thousands of faces have you spotted that one fucking guy?
Well, because Rudolph brought them there specifically.
Yeah, 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 to show them that. So he probably made them pass by one that had his
Yeah,
face on. Sure.
he's that sort of asshole.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, a lot of good fun. I mean, where does it go from here? Well, a fight with God, I guess, unless it's going to be like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy type thing where God isn't even aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I just let that experiment run, and I was just going to check the results when it was done. Yeah.
Well, I'd like the idea of him not even knowing this was going on. It's just like
Mm-mm. A
no
petri
idea.
dish that went wrong. Yeah, could be.
What are you talking about? Um, then we've got Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, episode 31. A father and son clash, in which our father and son have a clash.
Beat the shit out of each other.
Also, Leona tries a spell with a 50-50 chance of success.
And that's if you're really good at healing spells.
Yeah, but that's the gist of it. We briefly check in on the Dragon King, or whatever they. Because the kingdom they're in are the ones who like worship the Dragon Knights, weren't they?
Yeah, they worship the Dragon Knights and dragons in general. And they're just kind of like, well, nothing we can do. Dragon Knights are fighting. I guess we just have to pick which one to pray for. Um, I mean, there is kind of nothing they can do. Like, Dai's getting smashed into their fucking bastilles just for the sheer craziness of it, I guess.
But yeah, the bulk of the second half is Dai just destroying his father's confidence by taking his best attacks and shrugging them off.
And then the idea, like the first one was like, you dodged that one. That was pretty sneaky. You won't dodge this one. He's like, no, I'm not going to dodge this one because I know you only got one more of those fucking left in you, and then I'm going to kick your ass. And he's just like, oh shit, I'm in a lot of trouble. Yeah, he gets a bit shaky, even though he's constantly like shouting. He even gets some evil laughter in this, but it is kind of like, it feels kind of like a bravado at this stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else is like, oh yeah, leaders don't heal me to what's the name, the seer,
Yeah,
go and
yeah.
heal her uncle and
Crocodile.
Crocodile, and they're like, okay, they just take just enough healing, and they go, I can stand. If I can stand, I don't need any more healing.
Yeah, and Crocodile doing the thing of like grabbing your man's leg and just going like, I'm just gonna fucking slow you down a bit and swing you the fuck around. Get my ass handed to me for it. Poor bastard. But yeah, she's gonna save all her healing magic for this one big spell she's gonna do with Pop to maybe bring him back to life. I hope so because he's still in the intro.
Yes,
So
and her uncle has a plan. So get up, Crocodile.
hmm.
Um, battle's conclusion approaches. It says next week.
Hmm.
But otherwise, yeah, just loads of super cool Toei action.
I mean, like,
Uh,
it's very Dragon Ball because literally they're flying around and flying,
yes.
and rather than being on the ground standing next to your friends while your father shoots a death ray at you, it's just like, better keep flying then, even though he has wings and therefore the advantage. So a lot of Dragon Ball kind
Uh,
of stuff.
oh, but yeah, the focusing of stuff into the hand, though.
Yes.
Uh, I was like, is that. Did My Hero Academia get that from here in its early days of like focusing,
Oh,
of
on a
like
single
moving the.
point.
Yes,
Yeah,
moving the
yeah.
power around your body.
Could be.
Because as I watch this, I'm like, obviously mainly One Piece because that's the Shonen Jump property I'm most familiar with, and so as I watch this,
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I've just got this in front of me again. Man, there's some beautiful stuff in this
Mm-mm.
episode. It's I mean, obviously we knew going in that it had like a big old lead time, so that's why generally it's looked pretty spiffy most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And then like there's some beautiful animated sequences. I've seen people like share them and like by the named animators and stuff that just are just gorgeous fucking stuff. But then that's paired off with stuff where they're like CG models like fighting, and that still looks great. Like
Yes,
they've used their stuff. They've used their assets in the right fucking way at the right time. There's no waste.
yeah, because I don't know how much of that is internal at Toei because I can't. I'm sure somebody told me. I've not.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken it hold of the information because obviously there's. It looked really good in Broly, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The CG stuff in that. Uh, and I feel like if it's internal, then obviously you've got to keep them more busy, not just in the Pretty Cure episodes
Yeah, yeah, sure.
and Pretty Cure movies. But I don't know whether that is the case or not. But obviously we now know we've got another Dragon Ball Super movie coming
Mm-hmm.
next year, so that'll get me back to the cinemas again. That's for sure. As the last film I saw in the cinema was a One Piece movie, so
That's how they get you.
that is definitely how they get me. But yeah, Dragon Quest is great. I, people do watch it, but not as many as people watch My Hero Academia, I guess. Because My Hero Academia is obviously a ball that keeps on rolling based on
Yeah, of
the
course.
comic as well as the cartoon. But
Like again, the only problem, and barely a problem I could say with Dragon Quest is like it feels derivative, but what it actually is like everything, not everything. A lot of things are derived from this, and you're
yes,
just seeing the modern, new, pretty fucking version of that, which is like, oh no, a great version of a thing that inspired great things. That this sucks. Like that's like the barest fucking complaint I could make. It's
yes,
nothing.
exactly, yeah.
Mm.
Then we got My Hero Academia, episode 95, Match 3.
That's like one of the worst titles.
That's
It
just
just
what I
sounds.
thought when I was writing it in to the episode description. I was
Mm,
like, really? That's what you're going with?
mm.
In which we've got Class A is... I can't remember any of these guys' names anymore. There's Shoto, your Fire Boy, Ice Boy, Fiery Ice Boy, Karate Guy with the tail,
Tailman.
guy with various parts of his face attached to his extra
Uh,
arms.
Tentacle? Hmm. Again,
And
if it's a superhero name, I'll fucking remember it. What is wrong with my brain? Just corrupted by comics, obviously.
Aida, that's his name, isn't it? The guy who runs really
Ida,
fast.
he
Yeah.
is going by Ingenium at this stage, right? I think he is.
Yeah, I think you might be
If
right.
if
I
he's
mean,
not, then it's obviously in his little flashbacks and stuff. It is setting up that it's like, yeah, he's going to
yes,
take up
he
that
is.
name.
Turbo Hero Ingenium, according
Mm,
to the wiki.
yeah, yeah.
And they're up against. Ooh, let's try and get these guys. Pony, I
Uh,
know her.
yeah, Pony's great. Great. I love that
Uh,
design.
Juzo, the guy who we learn he's Mudman and he's very flexible. In fact,
I
the only
thought he
reason,
seemed sound out, honestly. Yeah.
yeah, he seems like this guy's going to be a great pro hero.
Hmm.
The only thing he's come undone on is relying on old information, but not as
Yeah.
badly as Class A have come undone on relying on old information.
Hmm. We got one of my favorites, Tetsu, who I remember his full
Yes.
name because it's fun to say.
The guy whose arms and legs, he can spin them like drills.
I've actually forgotten his name now. It's like Spiral or something, I think. This is
Uh,
another comic character, but you know, it's like
yes.
it's a common fucking word. You can use it.
And so Tetsu's plan is, well, none of us are good at scouting, so I'm just going to knock down all the scenery around us, having been told earlier or having the previous class had been told off earlier in the previous battle for destroying quite so much scenery. The first thing he does is destroy
Yeah,
loads of scenery.
they literally had to take like okay, let's take like what an hour, half an hour,
2 hour break because
two
that would
hour
take
break.
that long to get rid of all the fungus.
Yeah, to get rid, let the fungus dissipate, and also we're going to move it like within the same location. We're going to move it from this block to this block because that one's fucking wrecked.
Yeah, because it
Um,
was manga and kendo and what's the name from Class A had destroyed so much of
yeah, yeah.
the
I
environment.
don't think like shooting giant words or lasers everywhere, or there's a lot of things that damaged
Yes.
everything there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it was pretty crazy.
like again, like I had that just the thing over the last episode where one's kind of like super nice, and she's like, "Hey, sorry about that, guy. You want me to give you like a throat thing for those fungus that I put in your lungs?" And he's just like, "Don't fucking pity me." It's like, "All right, you go see the nurse." And I was like, "Is that chemical warfare? That's a very villainous power she fucking." I'm still that's hmm, that it seems
Uh,
pretty harsh
I
to shut
forgot
down
that
crime.
Recovery's girl power is kissing it better.
Yeah, fucking hilarious still. But yeah, she says it shouldn't take too long to recover from that. Like, so it's not so bad, and we don't get the same kind of bollocking to them because I guess they're all fucking hospitalized due to mushroom lung. It's like you can't really defend against that. Like, um, but yeah, uh, is Tetsu's thing? Is he called Real Steel? Is that his
he
name?
is, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. His plan works pretty well. It's like, oh, they're over there where everything is falling down. Let's all go over there. But I mean, like it is a it because he's like everyone thinks I'm stupid, but it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna bring them to me, and obviously they're gonna hit us with Todoroki first, but we have planned for that.
Yes, and also, yeah, Todoroki can't use his full power because too many of his friends are in the way because we brought them all into one area.
Hmm.
And then it turns out made them all sink into the ground because Mudman can control more than just the ground now.
He can make any non-living thing soft, basically.
Yes, as he says, he just made a whole load of random bits of scenery soft. So
While Tailman's jumping around, he just sort of
yeah,
starts sinking on some of the pipes. Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. Pony can now she can throw off. She can control 4 of her horns,
Hmm.
but she can throw more of her horns off. I do like when Tetsu Tetsu got her so mad she started to speak in English. Uh,
And then Mudman starts like kind of agreeing with her or like cheering her on by also speaking in
yes.
English, even though that's not his native language. Just funny stuff, yeah. But yeah, I assume once she throws a horn in the direction, like it kind of keeps going that way because
Yeah.
she's got Tentacle like pinned under several of his arms and is trying to pin him to a wall, basically.
Yeah, it is a lot of good stuff. But yeah, the only problem is he hadn't taken into account that Ida had upgraded his leg exhausts by
He he,
tearing them out.
he teared off his old mufflers because he's a big boy now, isn't he, Mom? He can tear off his mufflers and grow in a new set that can better take it. Because your man's kind of like,
Yes.
dude, you shouldn't have went in with the reciprocal burst straight away. That's a limited thing. And it's like, no, motherfucker, I can do that for 10 minutes now.
Yes,
10 minutes straight.
I never stopped running.
Yeah, so he just bursts out of the re-solidified ice and bursting on through. Again, it's just a lot of cool fights, bizarre fucking powers, and interesting
Yeah.
visuals. But
Also, Endeavour is really pleased that his son has friended him on Facebook.
that's such an old man fucking response. It's great, and it's like, "Hello, son. How are you today? I am well. Respond to my messages. Did you get my text? You know, just like a stream of him just going like while he's fighting crime
Yes, because he wants to tell him about a technique that he did a very bad job of teaching him about.
because he tried to beat it into them. Yeah, not a good plan.
Uh, yes, though if you read the comic, you know his mind wasn't in a great place at that point. So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's not forgiving him for the shit that he did. And
No,
I think that's a lot of people's problem with it. Is like, how dare they want me to forgive him? It's like, no, no, they want you to understand the fucked up things he did because he was in a
yes,
fucked up situation, and not agree with them, but at least understand where he's coming from.
yes, and that he's not solely to blame within the family as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the other thing we'll learn is
Hmm.
they are a terrible family overall, and arguably by the time even when we know more stuff about them, they're not necessarily any better. Um,
No, no, you just understand the fucked up place that they've come from.
yes, yeah.
Um, yeah.
But that'll be 2 seasons down the line, so let's not worry about this for the current show. Let's just see that Endeavour's taking steps to being a better father.
Yeah, by being like a helicopter parent, basically. But yeah,
Yes. Well, no, he wants to. I think he's like he wants to teach him how to do the
I
move
guess
in a
that's
better
true.
way.
Yeah, yeah, not in a as fucked up way. Yeah,
Yeah, and the indication is that either he'll figure it out for himself during this fight, or he won't figure it out, and they'll lose. I can't remember which way it goes. So.
yeah. I've forgotten a lot of this stuff, but I am like, again, I'm liking where the comic is currently, but I'm liking a lot of this stuff focusing on the rest of the class because they're all quite interesting, and you get to see another whole class of weirdos and their weird powers too. So that it's fun.
Yeah. Then we've got Detective Conan, episode 1005, the 36 Cell Perfect Game, Part 3, in which it was who we thought it was, but I would have not have guessed how he did it. But I was like, okay, I definitely could have guessed how he did it if I
Hmm.
was paying more attention.
So two things caught me solving this one. One, I do not speak any kind of fucking Japanese, so I cannot read the two different kinds of characters you put down. Two, despite the fact that I've done several episodes of it, I still don't understand baseball. So it's just like I wasn't gonna fucking solve that riddle.
No, but you could have got the magic, the fact that he was a magician.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I was thinking I forgot to say it, the fucking last one where he did the shuck with the packet, with the basically the fucking the Tic Tacs or whatever the fuck they were supposed to be. Um, I was like, yeah, that could have been like hidden, like you could fake that kind of noise, but I forgot to fucking mention it at the time because I was excited to talk about the rest of the fucking thing. Yeah, but I didn't pick up on it specifically being the magician or calling the top of the deck of cards the top.
Yes,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
could have figured out how he was pulling out the right names out the box, which I thought that's clever.
That's a good
And
one.
like
He just has
what?
to find the straight edges and just
Yes,
assign those to other people first. Yeah.
yeah, and that's
Um,
why he needed them to bring four people to come from Tokyo to investigate this, so there would be 9 people. So that piece of paper could be teared in exactly the way he wanted it to be teared.
I just need to
Uh,
find the piece without a straight edge on it, which is the middle
yes,
piece. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and again, like he's not straight up a magician, but they said all the clues were there for that. Like his background was he's a bartender. I was
yes,
like,
yeah.
that's the kind of thing a bartender would learn, like those kind of fucking tricks and sleights of hand and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the comment in the first episode about the deck of cards that
Mm.
Ray wants to use for them to pick. And he talks about the top and the bottom of the deck. And they're like,
Mm.
that's what a magician would say. Um, and they still keep the secret of like what the club was because they have to figure that out themselves because they keep on getting interrupted whenever it comes up.
Hang on a
Um,
second. Finish your thought, because they're like, "Oh, we'll tell you what our club is." What was that scream? Constantly, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it turns out they were part of a baseball club at high school,
Mm.
where they were ashamed of this because they'd lost a match on the mercy rule. They would,
Yeah, they'd lost it so fucking bad that the game was called the other team automatically fucking win. They didn't even play the final inning, kind of thing. Yeah,
and our murderer thinks that this was the cause of their friend committing suicide.
yeah, because they lost it so badly, it was clear that they threw the game. So,
Yes,
did you threw the game to ruin this guy's career so he'd never get picked up by school? Because
yes.
he was an amazing pitcher, apparently. So,
Yes,
yeah.
and he thinks they were in on it with the university, with the school they were against, because that school was connected to a university, and some of them ended up going to that university.
Yeah,
And
they
of
did very
course,
well out of that game.
this being Detective Conan,
No,
no.
no. Don't fucking assume this shit,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Research your shit first.
Yes.
Because, like, even the thing of, like, he was blaming your one. Obviously, she wasn't in the baseball team, but she was dating the guy at the time, and she dumped him. And I was like, no. And she's like, no, he dumped me because he was like, my body has been wrecked, and I can't be the man that you deserve. That kind of thing. And it was just like, and yeah, the way what? It's like, yeah, his shoulder was fucked, so they basically threw the game so he didn't fuck it up more. Didn't completely ruin himself, but the fact that his shoulder was as fucked as it was meant he couldn't go pro.
Yeah.
So they were doing their best friend a favor by throwing the game so that he didn't have to suffer worse in his later life, and he still felt really fucking bad about it.
Yeah.
Oh
And they
no,
told
what have
him.
I
So
done? What have I
yeah.
done?
Well, exactly. What have you done? Well, you're a murderer in a Detective Conan story. Uh,
So you're in Egypt, basically. Yeah, yeah.
yes, you've jumped to a conclusion and decided to. So yeah, we don't. So what the guy actually committed suicide for? We not even an issue.
Like, yeah, it seems to be just that his life didn't go the way he fucking wanted
Yeah.
it, and he got depressed and probably killed himself, and that's terrible. But you killed two innocent people who tried to help their friend years ago. So congratulations, idiot, you're a murderer. Uh,
There's not as much of the sushi chef being sinister towards Ray in this one.
I mean, there's too many shots of your man looking sinister. And they really filled their quota of him just like, ooh, what's going on here as these underlit and all this
Yes.
kind of jazz. Yeah, yeah. They,
But
they
he's
got
not
enough of
saying,
that in.
yeah. Instead, Kobe is the one who gets to say a barbed comment to Ray instead after the credits.
Because
And
yeah, he
wants to know-
does spot him in the footage of the crime scene.
Yeah.
Or he's just like, who is that fucking blonde guy? I know that guy. He's like, wait, my brother with the backstory wanted to be cops and shit. He showed me that guy.
Yes.
Is that the guy who sent me his phone with the bullet hole in it? Etc. Etc. Yeah.
Yes. And we're Kogoro. I'm Kogoro's first apprentice, and the sushi chef's like, I'm his second apprentice.
And yeah, your man, the one-eyed cop, is just like, This guy's got 2 fucking apprentices. What is going on? Kogoro just with a big shit-eating grin on his face. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and like Kobe shaking Kogoro's hand, but it's like clearly he's just so I can stand closer to Ray, so Ray gets a good look at my face and sees if
Mm.
he knows that I know that he knows that I know.
Without saying any of that. Yeah.
Yes. Every moment is precious. I was like, oh, this is. I do love like how as this is approaching its end game, whenever that may be, it's like picking up these other characters from along the way and drawing them into the Black Organization storyline. So when it all pays off, so many of the characters are going to have some sort of stakes in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and now the long wait till another episode.
Those kind of ones sort of surprised us. We were just like, oh, episode 2 of that. Whoops.
Now,
bit of a
yeah,
gap.
so the next volume is out in the autumn, I think. So I think we might get another episode before then. Because I was trying to, I was like looking like how many episodes come out in between volumes.
Hmm.
Because I was like, that would give me a better idea of like what pace they're trying to keep up against the comic.
Yeah.
So I think they might get another one in before then. Of course, there's the chance though that they just do another remake to celebrate the 100th volume.
Yeah. Yeah. Which would be a canon episode, but not in order. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, it could be worse. The English translation of the comics even further behind from this. So.
Yeah. Mm.
C'est la vie. I just want to know who Rum is.
Mm.
But I think there's some episodes I could go back and watch because I don't think I've watched all the ones with where they've introduced the teacher. So I don't really know what her deal is, why she's possibly Rum.
Mm.
Then we've got Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Episode 4, The Student Council President's Gaze. So I think we've neglected to mention, because we were in a hurry and we'd had technical problems last week, is that the spell should have worn off by the end of the episode on Amory, but it has snagged against something in her personality, and that's why she's...
Yeah.
So at the end of the episode, she came in dressed in her normal standard confident outfit, but quickly is revealed she is still what do they call her?
Ladylike,
dainty. She's
dainty,
the dainty Amory, yes.
The cute and dainty one. Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting, like, because it, and I don't see this very often in things, but like in mind control, or in this case, personality altering spells. It's just like, yeah, this could like affect you because it's tailored specifically to you. So, and I think it's the general thing of her meekness is something she actually enjoys having. Like, she comes out and says it basically.
Yes.
That would it be so bad if she quit being the student council president and got to hang out with Iruma-kun, like in more nice situations? She didn't have the pressures of it on her, that kind of thing. And it's just like, yeah, because it's, even if you're super confident in what you do and how you live your life, it's just like, yeah, that giving it up is always tempting. So that's where the spell is snagged on.
Yes. But as Aruma says, you're a lovely lady, whatever your personality is. And luckily, he's got the best detectives in the world on the case.
I love the way they basically solved that shit off screen. They were like, you're looking for, what was it? You're looking for like a personality spell or something.
Yes, well, it turns out that the spell has been concocted from things stolen from both of the battlers they joined.
Yeah, coincidentally, but they do figure it out between them. It's a good thing we got our most serious and talented and weirdest and craziest detectives on the case, because combined they will solve the crime.
Yes, because she's gonna. They borrowed the game, haven't they? That's it.
Yeah.
So that's why she's going to get it back. That stuff, all the physical gags with the magnifying glasses that Clara's got.
Multiple fucking ones looking around. Yeah, great stuff.
And her like wriggling along the floor like a worm looking for clues.
The more chibi you make her, the better in general. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I saw the picture the author had done for her birthday.
Oh.
And yes, she's much more cherubic in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, 5th of May is when her birthday is. So if you're looking to buy a present for a fictional character next year, that you know when to get it.
I mean, like, you don't really need to. She literally has pockets that can give her anything she needs. So,
That's true,
but,
yes. Yes, because they've also been answered by, while they're looking for the clues, they're also going to look for these things. Yeah.
mm.
So
Which
then they
the
have
things
their.
are the clues. And also, I was right. It turned out it was completely someone unrelated to the entire thing because your man is not competent enough to do this of his own accord.
Yes, because Renove is offering them pleasure.
He's going to have
But
the
then,
school rebuilt into a theme park, I think is his plan,
yes,
vaguely.
essentially.
Is that something I can do? Maybe. Let's find out.
I mean, there's a little bit of foreshadowing for the fact that we'll be going to a theme park before this season's over. Um, but then when Amory sees like the class, the school body in front of her, this is what unhooks that rope from the rock in her personality, and we get the old Amory back about ambition and desire, and this is
Because
what
basically
she's going
that's
to
what
lead them to.
Iruma threw back at her as well as saying is like no matter what your personality is, you're still like a beautiful lady. You're still a charming young woman or
Yes,
something. He puts it's a nicer compliment than what I'm saying, but
yeah, it's
he
lovely
throws
lady. I think is what it comes out as because Ali
she's
throws it back later on.
yeah,
And,
you're right. But like she says, would it be so bad if I gave up on this and just like lived a happy school life with you, kind of thing? And he's like, that's desire, not ambition. Is it
yes,
desire over ambition? Because desire is just I want general feeling or something, whereas ambition is I want specific goal.
uh,
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, which she
yeah,
again uses a version of that speech to inspire the student body to go like, yeah, actually, we would like to improve upon ourselves. That's why we go to school, I guess. Yeah,
but yeah, during this though, she realizes what she wants is a rumor.
and that's how she realizes. Is that how I realize I love him? Ah, weird way to do it, but okay. And
Uh,
where it shows that chord of the spell like caught on that rock of some rock part of her, some edge part of her. It's clear that it's like that edge still exists, and like it kind of depicts it as such.
yes,
It's like it's a part of her personality she just wasn't aware of, basically. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and there occurs Renove, but then he's like, I didn't do anything. And then Clara and Az show up with the real suspect, who's the leader of the Amory fan club.
Of course. And he
And
just wanted to see a cute version of Emery.
yes, that was his ambition, was to burn the vision of a ladylike Amory into his eyes.
And all he needed was some illegal spell related stuff and like a visual novel video game, I
That was it,
guess.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the magical apparatus battler is returned because they still hope to bring back your fella who's clearly evil, but perhaps could be fixed.
I mean, like he's going to prison to maybe not be locked up forever, but to be reformed, which is what you're supposed to do in prison. So that'd be nice. But yeah, you've shown enough gumption by solving this case and by working in the student union to set it up. Even though you don't have you need like a third year running that or something like that. But yeah, they're all good. Everyone's happy. Amory's still kind of like being cool on the phone to Iruma, and it's like, oh my god, I'm very close to a boy now. That boy that I like, that I know that I like. What to do with the feelings when you know you have them? Yeah.
Yes, and then Ali gets to tease Aruma a bit and also explain what had happened. Says, "Oh, your girlfriend?" He's like, "It's not my girlfriend. Oh, maybe the weirdo's your girlfriend." It's like, no, it's not like that. Like, oh yeah, I guess you don't see them that way. Yeah, and so yeah, she's like, she's going to devote herself to her ambitions, and we see like the photo they taken in the after the discovery of who the villain really was, and we see
when
her
they made your
staring
man
at
part of
Aruma. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, we're disbanding your disciplinary committee, and he's like, you just join the student council. It's fine.
Yes.
I mean, like, that's kind of related job. So yeah.
Yes, and you're the sort of weirdo she takes under her wing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tsukima is that Aiko is even in a worse state now because now there's two Amoris she's in love with.
There's technically two Arumas she's in love with as well, but she's
Well, we
kind
haven't
of.
got to the second Iruma yet, so
Has she
that's
not
going to be.
seen Aruma? And oh,
No,
okay.
no, that hasn't
Oh, I
happened
meant
yet.
the idol Aruma that she also
Oh,
liked.
the idol one as well. Okay, yeah, there'll be five Arumas then, won't
God
it? Yeah.
damn, yeah, bloody hell, yeah.
Because I
It's going to
imagine
be
she's going to
very
fall
confusing, fucking sexual awakening for her. All right, yeah. Um, it's still only two people, but you've gotten very confused about it. Mm.
But it is a funny running gag, just because it's an entire story happening away from all the main characters, and they're probably never going to be aware of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like when the eyeball monster and her worldly views of romance, even though I assume she's just 15 years old like everybody else is.
She probably just reads literature that kind of gives her notions, you know.
Righty ho. I've accidentally taken a bit of ice into my mouth again.
Oh.
But that's okay, because you're going to explain to me what happened in Thunderbolt Fantasy Sword Seekers 3, Episode 6. Not even going to begin to try and pronounce that guy's name.
Hoshi Míng Huáng is how I'm supposed to say it, but I imagine my fucking Mandarin is terrible because my English is not great neither. I'm going to try and get most of the names right without Niall, which is going to be very difficult for me, but we'll see how I fucking manage. I'll go through quick. We can move this up the thing if you don't want to end on this every week.
No, we're going to end on it every week till it's over.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so we get a flashback with Shang Buhan. Shang Buhan, friggin' Lang Wu Yao, our musician guy, and the lady who was blinded, Tiang Mang, before she was blinded, and they're fighting the guy in the fucking title. I've instantly forgotten his name, Hoshi Míng Huáng, who's like the head of the Divine Swarm, this whatever bug-themed cult that a bunch of guys seem to be attached to. And like it's a really cool fucking fight, because he's like blocking swords with his half fucking crown thing and that kind of shit. And he's got like he keeps pulling swords out of his sleeves that he's like flinging around on scarves, and he's absolutely kicking these guys' ass. And he's basically trying to get Shang Buhan to bring out, because he's like, oh, you got all these swords, but you don't fucking use them. They're wasted on you, kind of thing. And he's specifically like, I'm trying to rile you up to get you to pull out one of those swords to fight me, so I can, rob them off you, basically, that standard kind of thing. Everyone wants that sword index. And in order to prove that, it's just like, you can't even protect that. You can't even protect your friends. And he gets your one and cuts her eyes out in a very like stylistic kind of way. And that's kind of like Shang's story. Like, and we're finally getting like his backstory as to why he's wandering around with a sword index on his own, because your man's like giving him shit for it. Lang Wu, but he says, like, I can't let anyone else get injured for this. That's why I've been wandering around on my own, because then I'm the only fucking one that people can chase for this thing, rather than people I care about getting hurt and that kind of stuff. And he can't go back to your one and apologize, because it's like, oh, but I blinded her. And it's like, yeah, we checked in on her last episode. She seemed fine, dude. She can see better now. Like in a cool fucking swords master kind of way. I think her thing was like I've forgotten the name for it. It's kind of like the harp thing. So she's obviously got a similar kind of thing to Lang Wu in terms of like the magical music kind of stuff. Again, in this fight, there's lots of crazy stuff. He was like shooting explosions out of his pipa. Fucking so good. But to get into like the main kind of plot of it, we go back to our mad monk. Let me check my notes. Lo Zhenjie, who is still looking for his sword that he's in love with, who is a demon trapped in a sword. God, this show. He's still in that kingdom wandering around, and he gets attacked by some of the guards. And he's kind of like, wait a minute. If they said they're looking for Shang Buhan and I'm looking for Shang Buhan, I'll just go like, hey, I could kill you guys, but I'm not gonna take me to your leader. I know where the sword robber is, because I know she's looking for him. Which he does get to her, the princess, and she is initially a little skeptical of this fucking lunatic foreigner with his robot arm coming in, and telling her what's what. But she's like, I can see that you're crazy and I'm crazy, so I'm all for this. Yeah, you go get him. I'll give you a small platoon of troops to go with. And he's kind of like looking at our general. I can't tell if the general is the disguise or if his like his role in the Divine Swarm is the disguise. But Wang Junpo is there, and he's trying to like hide his face nearly from this monk, and the monk's like, you know, if I bring a squadron of your army with me, you should probably give me a commander as well. How about that guy there, that general? And so he has to hang out with him, and it's like a weird team up where the general's like, hey, I know you're head of the Divine Swarm, you're in the Divine Swarm as well, and he's like, shut up, this is my kingdom, you can't be saying shit like that. And he's like, yeah, but I'll work with you up to this point, so because we got a similar kind of goals, although he hasn't literally stated he's out for the sword. That the guy Wang Yung is looking, the demon he's partnered up with is her sister as a sword. There's lots of information not being communicated. But he's like, okay, I guess I should work with you because we do have a similar goal in getting Shangguhan. Even though, like, I know you're just going to fuck with me otherwise because you literally fucked with our fight by randomly teleporting in. And everyone still is teleporting leaves, so I assume that's still up for grabs. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the show. It's just like this weird interconnectedness of people with similar kind of goals, but also like completely at contrast goals. And I can just see the future of setups of everyone's going to end up fighting everyone at this stage. Good crack.
Excellent. Righty ho, that is it for today. I imagine we're back Wednesday.
I think so, because I think that's the schedule we're on.
That should be the schedule. I assume Niall's not going to suddenly go onto a different work schedule just because he's had a week in a hotel. That's the reason we're missing him, isn't it? Not because he's off anywhere.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's
Well,
a
I mean,
pandemic
it's off
still.
in a hotel. Yeah, it's
Yes.
pandemic still. Yeah, yeah.
Righty ho, that is it for this week. We will be back next week with more of the same because nothing's ending yet.
Nope.
Only Vlad Love we've waved goodbye to.
Yeah, yeah, and we were just taking our time with that. I'm glad we did as well, honestly. So.
Yeah. Rightio, we'll be back then. Cheerio.
Bye.
Let me hit the right stop button.